Ciao e benvenuti al tavolo italiano. Hello and welcome to the Italian table and to our fifth video in this series. We started off with the introduction, then we talked about the first mistake, and then in the third video being realistic, and then in the fourth or our last video we talked about defining our goals and objectives, defining what you want to do. In this video, I want to talk about sources for study material, and this may be the video that I stay within the time limits that I actually set for myself, possibly. Now, I'm not going to so much talk about the material itself, what my favorite materials are or whatnot. That's going to be in a latter lesson where I'll share with you what my favorite resources are. Instead, this is going to be talking about sources or places you can look to find information on studying Italian. I have a couple of reasons for doing it that way. Number one, and actually this might be a better video for guys than women. Women are great shoppers. They tend to be able to find anything they want, and they know how to hunt and search and find things. Guys aren't necessarily really good shoppers. Some are, but not all. But I'm hoping that everybody gets some ideas that maybe they didn't have before as far as where they can find more resources to help them in their task to learn Italian. And that's what we're going to talk about this time. Sources for study material. Now, I do want to say I don't want this to be a commercial for Il Tavolo Italiano, but I would be remiss in stating it. So I put down as source number one, of course, is Il Tavolo Italiano. Which could include the courses, the videos, pen pals, etc. But one source that I do want to point out, hopefully most of you know where the courses are. I do have the Il Tavolo site up now, and I got my new computer. This should work well. But under Learning, if you go over under Learning here and you click on Italian, that'll take you to the courses. If you go to Community and click on Pen Pals, then that'll take you to the Pen Pal page where you can sign up. But the one I wanted to show you was Shopping. If you go to the Shopping link and then down to Bookstore, it brings up this right here. And this is the Il Tavolo Italiano bookstore, where there are many resources that can help you in your quest to learn this beautiful language that we call Italian. And I will tell you just this. This is the only time I'll point out anything. And that is two books that I think everybody learning Italian should have. If you haven't already mastered the verb system, would be Italian Verb Drills. This is a tremendous book. It really helps a lot. And if you take the courses on verb drills on Il Tavolo Italiano, that is actually kind of the course book for that. The other one, which I think every student of the Italian language should have, that is a native English speaker, that is English Grammar for Students of Italian. This thing is invaluable. It's a resources. And I won't go big time into it, but you'll recognize this one because it's the purple book right here. And the other one, all you have to remember, it's the first book. Highly recommend you buy both of those. If you go to YouTube, you can find a video where I've done an individual review on each of those books. So that's the first place I would suggest looking. If you're looking for a particular book that you can't find on Il Tavolo, then I would recommend also looking at Amazon.com. Amazon.com has a wide array of resources for learning Italian. I was surprised by how much they had. Although, it's not everything is really good. Everything on Il Tavolo I've kind of gone through myself. I consider them very, very good resources. But I'm sure there's plenty of more very good resources on Amazon as well. Another thing would be to peruse your local bookstore. I know that they're becoming fewer and far in between nowadays, but there's still a few of them left. So I would recommend that you check out your local bookstore and see what they have available as well. Especially if you have a university around, you might be able to find some good used books. Which brings me to the next one, which is eBay. Now, what I use eBay for, actually, is I have purchased a couple of college course books on Italian. This one is called Ciao. It's a very, very good book. Now, this one is like 2 or 3 editions old, which to me wasn't a big deal. I mean, it's, you're learning Italian, not a computer language. It changes every other year. So, this is still more than adequate to teach you a lot about Italian. I am, to be honest with you, I don't know how much college course books cost now, but I know they're very expensive, sometimes 80, 90, even into the hundreds. I've heard, I don't know if that's true, but I do know they're very expensive. If I remember correctly, I got this one on eBay for $10, and I think that included shipping as well. So it was very, very inexpensive. So I would look to eBay for some more expensive books. Some other places to go would be local Italian language groups. And for instance, groups on Meetup or Italian heritage groups, that kind of a thing. And I'm going to go into that further actually in our very next lesson on support elements. I'll actually show you how to locate a meetup, how to join, how to RSVP. That was one of the first things I did when I got here to the Dallas area is I looked up the local meetup groups on Italian language. Another resource are your online resources, which are unlimited. I mean, there's online resources like YouTube, for instance, where you'll find sites and videos like mine that can help you learn Italian. Pen pal sites, some of them charge, some of them don't. Italian news or newspaper sites are very good for practicing your comprehension. And if you go to the tourist sites of the smaller cities, often those are in Italian, or you at least have the option of reading about what's available in that town or city in Italian. One of the other resources that I found very, very helpful when I first started studying was iTunes Radio. You can do a search on Italian radio stations. Just so happens the first one I found was actually in New York. It's called Radio Italy, but they had great Italian music, and I found several radio stations in Italy that were on iTunes as well. Online tutors can be very helpful, a very good resource, whether it's myself or someone else. There are sites that are dedicated solely to Italian tutors, or there are websites that are like mine that teach Italian in general, where online tutoring is available via Skype. Very effective tool. I've been using it for a few years now, and it's proved to be very effective. The local college or university, these tend to cost a little bit more, but you have the benefit, of a trained college professor being in a class to learn Italian that way. There's also podcasts and apps. Now, I don't have any apps available yet. We do have a podcast site, though, for downloads. My podcasts are also available for download on iTunes. And there's many other ones, too. There are some more interactive apps out there as well for your iPhone or other device. There's Italian television. Now, finding live Italian television is a little more difficult. However, though, I have found that if I've gone to a few of the websites of some of the more common television, like Rai TV, that I can pull up past episodes and actually watch those all in Italian. And those are really good for helping with your comprehension and learning Italian as well. Then there's a myriad of computer programs. Probably the most famous right now is Rosetta Stone. There's Berlitz. There's a wide range of computer programs. I actually started my learning with Rosetta Stone. I think it's a great tool. I don't think it's enough in itself, by itself, but I think it really helps pronunciation, or it can. It also helps build vocabulary. And then finally, there's audio programs, and you can find a lot of these at the bookstores I found, as well as Amazon.com. It's kind of almost being replaced more by podcast and online, simply because a lot of the older ones were obviously in cassette. I don't know that I have anything that plays cassette anymore. There are also a lot of them out there that have CDs, but I've been in a few cars lately that don't even have CD players anymore. There's still plenty around, but, so if you want a CD-based course, you can find those as well. And nice thing about those or podcasts is that you can listen to them while you're in the car. And you can kind of work in your study habits that way where it's not taking additional time. The biggest thing that I want to encourage you to do, though, in this lesson is not only did I want to give you a diverse array of where you can go and look for these things to help you learn Italian, but I want you to think about putting together a mix of items. a mix of medias. Whether you do that just with the Il Tavolo Italiano things or whether you bring in other resources, as you saw, I didn't hesitate to mention the other things that I don't offer that are out there, or some things that I offer and I still pointed out other places that you can go. Because I really believe that nobody has the whole picture. Different programs are best suited for teaching different things. And I think the broader of a range that you have in, that you give yourself in materials for learning Italian, the more successful that you're actually going to be. So I would encourage you, don't just pick one thing, one course. I think it would be more beneficial to you if you had 2 or at least 3 different avenues, whether that's listening to Italian music plus a more structured course plus watching some periodic videos. Even if that meant you had to go slower in each of the things that you do, as opposed to only having one direction and going full steam ahead in it. I think it gives you a more well-rounded education. I also think it just gives you a more balanced approach at learning a language, which is almost like learning a whole new life. So those are the areas. Once again, Il Tavolo Italiano and everything that has to offer, including the bookstore. Amazon.com. One thing I do want to say about Amazon.com, if you end up buying DVDs on Amazon, you want to make sure that they're formatted for the U.S. Very important that you check that, or they will not play on your Blu-ray or CD or DVD player. Go to local bookstores. Check out eBay for the college course level books of Italian. Local Italian language groups. Online resources like YouTube and pen pal sites and my site. iTunes radio stations. Online tutors. Local colleges or universities. Podcasts and apps. Italian TV. Computer programs and audio programs. So I hope you give that some thought, and I hope you find some good materials. Remember, the 2 books I recommend the most are Verb Drills and English Grammar for Students of Italian. I would encourage you to watch the videos on those on my YouTube site. Check them out, see what you think. Next week we're going to be talking about support elements and how we can also do more to build into our longevity of study to help guarantee further our success. And then we start getting into the nitty-gritty, the following lesson with tips on vocabulary, and we begin to delve deeper into the subject. So I've gotten a really good response on this series. Thank you very much. It's both honoring, I'm honored by that, and it's humbling at the same time. Your responses have been very, very kind. Thank you. I hope this one helped you. By the way, in the event that anyone is interested in the online tutoring, I can be reached at iltavoloitaliano@gmail.com. So, grazie mille. Thank you so much for watching this series and being a part of tips and tricks on learning Italian. I hope that this continues to help you, and I look forward to talking to you in our next lesson, our next video. Ciao.